The Metro Board of Zoning Appeals is now in session for the regularly scheduled meeting of September 1st, 2022. At this time, I'd like to ask everyone to please either turn off or silence your cell phones. I'm Elizabeth Waits, and I'm a member of the code staff. I'll be introducing the cases for public hearing today. During the presentation, I will present maps, photos, and proposed site plans for each of the subject properties. The information I present, as well as the applications, recommendations, and other government agencies, as well as letters that members of the public have submitted either in opposition or support of the cases before the board today, are all contained in the file and recorded as part of the record of today's proceedings. We have a couple of preliminary announcements that we'd like to make at this time. Starting at the top of our docket, the first case, 2022-91, is going to be deferred one meeting. I'm going to go ahead and make all of these, read my list quickly, and then I'll go through the captions to make sure that any members of the audience who might be here on any of the matters that are not being heard today, that you can be aware of exactly what's happening with that case. So for the board's purposes, case 91 is being deferred for one meeting. Case 103 has been withdrawn. Case 105 is being deferred for one meeting. Case 108 was withdrawn. Case 109 is deferred for one meeting, and the executive session is being deferred for one meeting. At this time, I will read the captions to each of those cases for the members of the public. Case 20.
You say 111 is deferred?
No, sir, that one's not being deferred.
Okay. So 108 is withdrawn, 109 is deferred?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So case 2022-91 was a request for permission to pay into the pedestrian contribution fund in lieu of building sidewalks at 2430 Little Avenue. Case 103 is a request for a variance from the street setback requirements at 2214 Valley Avenue. Case 105 is, I'll have to look and see what that one is, I'm sorry. Case 108 is a request to modify a non-conforming structure at 3408 Elkins. Okay, my notes on 105 was a request to add illumination to a billboard at 2204 Nolensville Pike. 2022-109 is a request to pay to the pedestrian contribution fund in lieu of building sidewalks at 5005 Tennessee. So two of those cases were withdrawn, and the cases that are being deferred to any members of the public who were here for these cases was case 2022-91. That's for the property at 2430 Little Avenue. That case is being deferred to the next regular meeting at 1 p.m. on September 15th. Case 2022-105 is being deferred one meeting. That's the request to illuminate a billboard at 2204 Nolensville Pike. Case 109 is being deferred to the next meeting. That's the request for the to sidewalk waivers at 5005 Tennessee. So if anyone's here on any of those matters, then the matter will be heard on September 15th. And if you're not available at that time, we would encourage you to send an email to bza@nashville.gov so that the board will have the benefit of hearing from you. In addition, we have one matter today before the board on the consent agenda. While preparing for today's meeting, the board's staff has recommended a consent agenda, and the board chair has reviewed the record of this case that we would recommend to the board for adoption on consent. That case is 2022-107. This is a request for a variance to allow front porch addition at 2706 Fortland Drive. It's a 45-foot contextual setback, and the request is to build to a 41-foot contextual setback. Is anyone here in opposition to that case today? I believe so, and if it's acceptable to all the members of the board, we would ask for someone to make a motion to approve this item on the consent agenda. Okay, that item is concluded today, so you will have 2 years to complete your building permit that you've applied for. But we will follow up with you and get a copy of the order for you. And at this time, you are free to go if you wish.
Or you want to walk?
You don't want to hear about my 1.7-foot front porch? You don't have the time. Thank you, everyone.
Well, that was easy. Now we need the contractor in. Thank you so much.
For the remaining items on today's agenda, we're going to start calling up the individual cases that remain on the agenda. There are 2 items for public hearing today. I don't believe I see any members of the council present. And so for the 2 remaining items, if the item is contested, which means that if any members of the public come forward and indicate that they would like to be heard in opposition to the application, then both the proponents of the application as well as the opposition will have 10 sides each, and that's 10 sides in aggregate, meaning all parties in favor will have 10 minutes to present, and all parties against will have 10 minutes to present. The applicant will begin making the presentation, and if there are no members of the public present today in opposition to your request, then the applicant would have 5 minutes to make a presentation. This time, we'll call up the first case on public hearing. This is case 2022-53. It's a request for a special exception from a portion of the landscape buffer requirements for an adaptive residential development at 5915 Robertson Avenue, Zone CS, and the abutting westerly parcel 5917 Robertson, zoned R8. The Planning Department has recommended approval on condition that the applicant record an access easement on the 5915 parcel in favor of the 5917 parcel. Before the board here is one of the 2 parcels in red, and then the parcel to the immediate left of it is the one that's zoned R8. The one in red is zoned CS. Aerial view. There's some street views of the property, as well as the streetscape there in the area. Here's a diagram of the landscape sea buffer, which is contained in the zoning code. And then here we have the site plan that's been submitted by the applicant, as well as a color rendering. Is there anyone here in opposition to this request today? We do have opposition, Mr. Chair, and therefore you will have 10 minutes to make your presentation.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dwayne Cuthbertson, 409 Merritt Avenue. I am here representing the property owner for both of these properties on this request. And just want to point out, this is the second time we've been in front of the BZA for this request. This exact request was approved in 2019 by this board. We went through the same process, had community meetings and had community support, got it approved, but 2019, that approval expired. Because it wasn't used. So we are back before you to make the exact same request on the exact same properties for the exact same reason. So we're asking for a special exception to modify the landscape requirements for the CS zone property. And it's important to note, we're not asking for a variance of all of the landscape requirements, just one very specific aspect of the landscape ordinance, and that is the buffer requirement. So as Ms. Waits pointed out, we have 2 properties owned by the same person, but they have 2 different zoning districts. One is zoned CS, the other is zoned R8. When you have a CS zone district that abuts an R zone property, you have to provide a landscape buffer to protect the residential from the impacts of the commercial development. So in this case, a C buffer is required on all of the perimeters that abut an R zoning district. So for our small CS zone property, we have to put a C buffer on that east side, the west side, and the south side. As I mentioned, this property is owned by the same person, both properties are, and he would ultimately like to develop these concurrently. Wants to develop the R zone property as it's allowed using the R8 zoning, and ultimately wants to develop the CS zone property as it's permitted by the zoning code. We could go ahead and do that, and you could ultimately end up with 3 different driveways on Robertson Avenue if we develop them independently, but he wants to do something better and use some efficiencies and consolidate that access to one driveway to the obvious location on that common property line. We would put it on the CS zone property line, and it would be used for access to the commercial development, but also to the residential development. And of course, we would record an easement over that thing as planning has asked for. We can't do that by right. The landscape ordinance requires that we put a buffer in that exact same location. And the only way to get this driveway in there is to request the special exception, and I want to emphasize it's a special exception, not a variance. Request a special exception to amend the landscape ordinance to do something different. So obviously we're not asking to eliminate that landscape buffer in its entirety. We're asking you all for permission to essentially shift those landscape buffers. And I keep alluding to the landscape buffer on this west side of the property. There's also a landscape buffer requirement on the south side of the CS district, because that our R8 zone property actually dog legs around the backside of the C8 zoning. So we have 2 landscape buffers we're attempting to relocate. We met with the community. We had a community meeting on Tuesday. It was fairly well attended, pretty healthy discussion. I felt like we came out of that meeting with support from the community subject to various conditions. In front of you, you've got a letter or a list of conditions that came from that meeting. And a lot of these were conditions that I was going to propose to you all to begin with, but we wanted to formalize this list of conditions so that you have it for the record. It's our commitment to the community. Particularly, we worked with those residential property owners immediately south of us that somewhat share the common property line. And so we're asking you to let us eliminate that C buffer, which effectively protects us from us, and shift it. We want to, so the conditions are that we're proposing, we would, take that southern C buffer and move it to the southernmost property line, along that southernmost property line, but we'd extend it across the entirety of that R zone property, so that ultimately the net effect is you get more trees for this entire property. So instead of the C buffer just behind that CS zone property, sorry, it gets a little convoluted with all the letters, we would take it and expand it across the entire.
So let me ask you, Mr. Cuthbert, before I get, so I make sure I keep up with you.
Sure.
This latest that you gave us, under the A and the B, that's the buffer you will be providing?
So the A buffer is the eastern buffer. We're not asking you to touch that. That has to stay.
That's going to comply with code.
That complies with code, yes.
Will B comply with code too?
So B is part of our request. On the exhibit you see where the hatch is, that's where the code would say it has to be there. Again, we're protecting ourselves from ourselves.
Is that okay, because this is essentially an L-shaped lot?
Yes.
Is that what's going on here?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm with you. So
and I want to be careful. If this CS zone property extended all the way to the back, we'd still have to provide that on the very back.
But if it did extend all the way to the back and it wasn't L-shaped, which is a little unusual, but then this B would probably be compliant, wouldn't it?
I'm 99% sure we would just put it there. It'd be deep enough that it wouldn't be in the way.
I got you. So that's when you were saying you're shifting, and I was trying to follow you because it looked to me like, okay, so I'm with you. And then C, the green along C is where you will be providing, how many feet wide is that?
So that needs a little more nuance, a little more explanation. And I also want to point out on the exhibit in front of you, the colored portion of the B is if we just did an exact transfer. But it's important to note that I drew in the extension. So that B landscape buffer gets significantly longer. And you get significantly more trees, understory trees, shrubs. And it's important to note that screening is required along that entire boundary then, where it would not have been required if we just developed this by code. Now, most residential developers, they go ahead and build that screening fence. But there's a condition related to that screening as well that I want to read out eventually. Again, sorry, this gets a little convoluted for something that seems fairly straightforward. So the C buffer, there's no exact dimension on that. He intends to build those two houses fairly close to that common driveway. He's got to sell those houses. So clearly he's going to put some sort of landscaping up there and a screening fence against that driveway. Again, he's protecting himself from himself in this case. Our commitment to the community is that we would take the trees, canopy, understory, shrubs that would have otherwise been required by that 180-foot dimension, if you will, and essentially take all those required trees, shrubs, and transfer them to various points within the residential district. We're not asking to get rid of the plantings, just allow us to move those to other parts of the residential development. So you would still get the required number of trees. And Mr. Lawless, it's important to note, we have a landscape ordinance already that applies to these residential properties. You have to plant trees according to your frontage. Our request to shift the landscape buffer trees is in addition to that. So you're actually going to get more trees throughout this residential development. And you're going to get an added buffer along that southern boundary. So ultimately, this is going to be a pretty treed up development when it's all said and done. And if I'm pouring sugar onto the pile, this is subject to an overlay on Robertson, and there is a cherry tree requirement, street planting requirement along Robertson. So consolidating the driveways to one point of conflict allows us, and we have to put in the sidewalks. We don't have an option to pay the fee in lieu because there's one down the street. We're going to get a considerably longer planting strip, which means more cherry trees along Robertson. So I may have gotten sideways on my conditions. I think I covered most of them. One of the other important conditions that came from this meeting is that the owner, Ned Michaels, coordinate with those adjoining property owners to the rear. We had a fairly quick and healthy, I feel like healthy conversation between us, the owner, and those owners, and there is a commitment that he coordinate with them. And their biggest concern is they've already got existing fences back there. Some of them don't want those fences taken down. And there are trees that grow up along fence lines, and some of them are pretty healthy. The owners don't want us coming in there and taking down some of those healthy trees already, which I committed, nobody's in the business of voluntarily taking down healthy trees, and absolutely we would commit to coordinating with those abutting owners. And I think it's important to put that in writing so that if for some reason he starts development and he just feels like not coordinating with them, well, now he has to. It's a requirement because it's part of the record if you are inclined to grant this approval. So just to wrap it up, we're asking for a special exception to relocate this landscape buffer that's intended to protect us from us. And we feel like the net benefit is that you're going to see a coordinated approach to the development, less conflict on Robertson with driveways, and significantly more trees for the neighborhood. Every other part of this development will be planned out according to current ordinances, stormwater, zoning, and so on and so forth. So I'll stop there and answer any other questions you might have.
It doesn't look like there are any questions. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And I think you probably have some time left on rebuttal. 1 minute.
1 minute, okay.
Okay, and I believe there are a couple people opposed. You have 10 minutes total. And that's 10 minutes total between you, so you might want to talk about how you want to divide it up.
Hi,
Hi.
my name is Helena Anderjack-Garrett. My name's Helena Anderjack-Garrett. I'm a native Nashvilleian. I've lived in this neighborhood for a little bit over 5 years now.
And can you give us your address, please, ma'am, for the
Yes,
record?
I am 5904 Deal Avenue, which is actually 2 over. I'm not affected directly by these properties. However, I
You're
think we
2
will be-
streets over?
No.
2 houses over?
Yes, if you look at where the properties are, the one to the right says zoned R8, then the one next to it, then I'm on the other side, on Deal, the street that's parallel to.
Okay. Can you locate us from that picture?
Kind of.
Okay.
Let's see. No, I'm on the right. So basically, if you count, so where the red square is, that's 5915?
So we're over here?
Yes, basically right there. Yeah. So light pollution will affect us. I'm concerned about the request for one driveway. I'm new to all this. This is my first meeting. I apologize. I'm very much a novice, but as a native Nashvilleian, seeing what has happened, previously we had lived in the Belmont neighborhood, and of course my husband and I were priced out of that neighborhood because of all of the development that has occurred. So when you've grown up in a town, you can't afford to live in a neighborhood, you find alternatives, and we love our neighborhood. If these two properties were not owned by the same person, what would the driveway requirement be on the housing side? Can anybody answer that? I'm assuming, would there be 3 driveways required? Would there be 2 driveways required?
I don't know the answer to that. I mean, that's really not.
And I was trying to research it last night, and I can't find much information.
Yeah,
It's very convoluted.
I do think it would be a little premature to answer that, and partly it's because I think the lot is, we would have to look at the lot area of that lot and the possibility of whether it's big enough to be subdivided. I'm not sure.
I can actually help answer that question.
I'm sorry.
When
Yeah.
is your turn? Okay, that's fine. So my concern is having one driveway. One issue would be if there were emergencies, if there were fire trucks to come in, ambulances, it's going to be a hot mess if they can't even turn around or get in to help individuals, or if the people who live in the 6 houses have to leave. What's going to happen then? I mean, that's going to be a big mess. And I feel like they're just trying to maximize the square footage and squeeze on 6 houses out of greed. The other issue, traffic, I could see potentially how one driveway would be beneficial because it could lessen traffic coming in and out of that one property line. However, traffic is already a mess on Robertson, and so yes, I know it's cleared up a little bit by having the new bridge, so I am seeing fewer dump trucks and cement trucks on our street. However, I have a feeling that with the commercial and everything else, it's just going to be a mess, and so homeowners wouldn't be able to get out. It's going to be a mess. My concern also is for sound and light pollution. And of course, another great concern, especially if you're not going to put trees in between the commercial and the houses, what about water runoff? We're seeing problems all over our nation with without access to water, and if we're planting concrete and not planting trees. I'm part of Route Nashville, trying to actually add trees to our neighborhood. I can appreciate, and I definitely appreciate them wanting to add trees to the back. However, between the two properties, there's going to be so much runoff that's not going to be collected and put down into our actual aquifers. Like, that's just bad for the environment. I do not support this, and I wish I'd come to earlier meetings, but my husband and I have been going through IVF, and we have to travel out of state for all of that, so it has not been feasible. I don't know what else to say, but those are my concerns.
Okay, any questions? Thank you, ma'am. I believe do we have somebody else that wants to speak in opposition? Okay. Okay, well, Mr. Cuthbertson, you have 1 minute left on rebuttal.
Sure, I'll make it brief. So the quick answer to the driveways, Robertson's a major street, so the number of driveways is limited by NDOT. So with the amount of frontage that we have, I think I said 2 previously on that residential district, looking at the frontages, no, we could only do 1. So ultimately, you'd have 2 driveways on the combined property. That'd be the max that NDOT would allow because Robertson's a major street. We're trying to condense that to 1. It's more manageable, less conflict with the pedestrian environment that we're trying to enhance. Our request, again, is to protect ourselves from ourselves. Both properties will be developed in accordance to current Metro standards. Stormwater, I don't know if any of you are involved in direct development, but stormwater is incredibly hard in this city. They are tightening up in every way possible. So that CS zone property, subject to a grading permit. We have to infiltrate. We have to manage, treat and manage our stormwater runoff. The residential, also subject to infill. We're planting a ton of trees on this property, so that helps too.
Any questions?
Couple
before?
questions.
Okay, well, you've got some questions.
What is the width of the access drive?
It's not defined, but because it's serving the commercial and the residential, the minimum we can go is 20 feet.
Minimum's 20.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if we develop this separately, the minimum we do on that commercial, the minimum we could do on that commercial would be 20 feet. So you'd have a 20-foot driveway, and then over on the residential side, it would be 20 as well, because it'd be serving 6 houses ultimately.
So I'm sure this plan will be required to go through to Metro, NDOT, or Public Works, whatever it's called now.
Yes.
And so they will, of course, comment on how to handle the fire trucks and where does the hydrant go and all that.
Absolutely.
So all that will be covered. I know you haven't designed that today, but all of that will go through a review.
Absolutely. And it's important to note that the fire marshal has standards for location of housing. So if your house is more than 150 feet from a public street, then you have to provide a fire marshal turnaround, which is expensive, which takes up a lot of space. So the houses that would be proposed on these 3 lots, ultimately the future 3 lots on that residential side, which I might add will still be considerably larger than most of the duplex lots in this surrounding immediate neighborhood. Those houses aren't going to be any further back than 150, so that the fire marshal, emergency services can get through that common driveway. But if for some reason it is blocked off, they can also pull up on Robertson in an emergency, run their fire hoses, get to every single one of those houses. So they have options, and certainly when we go through development, be it residential infill and commercial, the fire marshal, NDOT, stormwater, they're all going to lay eyes on the development and make sure that a lot of these issues that you heard are addressed.
I'm guessing that you'll have to have some kind of aerial access with these. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, and that's important to note. We covered that in the community meeting. There are overhead lines in front of this property. We're not taking those down. So that, and we don't have the space to provide the staging area on site for aerial access. So our building height for the residential and for the commercial are going to be capped at 30 feet at the eave. The CS zoning allows you a height plane and you can go up pretty tall, but if you don't have aerial access, the fire marshal will cut you at the knees at 30 feet. They don't care what the zoning says. So our density, what you're going to see is going to be considerably, 30 feet is limited for some, for others, maybe not.
Okay.
How do you propose the community coordination with the developer?
So,
that kind of concerns me, and I know
Sure.
what you said.
So it's written into the record. There is a condition in front of you that should be attached to an approval if you all are willing to approve it. So it goes in the record, and Joey's team has gotten really, really good at finding old BZA cases and recorded instruments that affect property development. They've gotten, and Joey, correct me if I'm wrong, I think your folks are trained to really research the record. And if they find, when they find these BZA cases, they put them out on the table up front. And when they read those conditions off, you've got to coordinate. How that coordinate happens, that's an interesting question. The owner has been in contact with the 3 owners to the south. One of the owners I don't think is an absentee and wasn't on the email chain, but they've already had some level of communication, and Ned has agreed to coordinate that. I'm open to ideas because coordinate is a very broad concept, and I understand that. When I was writing that out, I even thought, okay, how does this get enforced? Do they provide Joey with an email saying they coordinated? I'm not sure. I'm certainly open to suggestions. But the neighbors, their intent was to make sure that the tree line along that fence remains somewhat intact. And in our conversations, I indicated, I think they're going to want to clean it, but I don't think that if there are mature trees or screening trees, they're going to want to touch those. That tree line is so far to the south of where the development is going to happen, there's very little, if no risk at all, of those accidentally getting disturbed by construction traffic. Nobody's going back there. This property's 200 plus feet deep, and these houses aren't going to be further than 150, and then you take a typical depth of 40 feet, 50 feet for a house. Nobody's parking construction trucks back there. And they wanted to keep their privacy fences. If they keep their privacy fences, then he doesn't have to build one. So it's sort of a win for this developer to say, sure, keep your privacy fence.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, and a lot of it is to the benefit of the developer, which is all fine. Are you looking at this involvement, or you don't want them to have a veto? I mean,
well,
I'm just trying to, it's a wonderful concept, but the English language sometimes isn't very specific, and I don't want to learn French. Sorry. But I'm just, and maybe Joey has already got something in his little bag of tricks over there. But we've talked about it, and you've got a bunch of people in the back of the room, and I know this doesn't sound like me all that much because, I'm usually onto the trees by this point in time, but I'm wondering, you're going to have a bunch of angry neighbors, which means you're then going to have probably an angry council person, which means you're going to have...
And I'd qualify that. We did talk to the council member, and she is supportive. She was supportive in 2019. She's supportive today. And I have to admit, it's a little my fault. She said, well, do you want me to write an email? I said, we're protecting ourselves from ourselves. I don't think I need to bother you for that. Apparently, I made a mistake.
Right. What's the commercial mix going to look like? So I'll forget it if I don't ask you now. So
the max height is 30 feet. So you can play with architectural forms and get a full third story with the eave height at 30 feet. So I think the max you're going to get is 3 stories. That said, you're also capped at 0.6 FAR in this case. No, you don't get the bonus. Joey, do you get the bonus if you eliminate short-term rentals to 1 point? You're still capped. You got a box at 33 stories. You've got a street setback. We have a rear setback. We've got that buffer on the side, and then we have to accommodate a 20-foot driveway on that west side. So you're looking at a box that's maximum 50 feet wide on this CS zone property and 3 stories, and then you have to park it. So I think the practical realities, and then you have to create space for stormwater. So the practical realities of laying out a building on this site are going to keep it relatively small. The architects in the horseshoe might be able to help you with a number, maybe off the top of their heads.
I noticed that they deferred on that one real quick.
I also want to add, and it's in front of you, sorry, one of the conditions and one of the important conditions that the community wanted, our tree planting requirement, the commitments to plant those additional trees, they wanted those planted with the residential development. So that condition's in there so that those trees get planted as early as possible, have a few years minimum a year or two of head start on the commercial development. So if and when that commercial development happens, those trees are already coming up and providing some level of screening, as opposed to getting new trees when that CS-owned property develops.
Can you speak a little bit, the neighbor mentioned a concern with sound and light pollution. Can you just give a kind of a brief synopsis of kind of how you and the developer will work to mitigate that? I know there's some codes in place as far as, light and things like that, and sound, but can you just kind of give a brief synopsis so for their benefit to know that that's being thought of?
I wish the zoning map was pulled out a little bit. We're going to have minimum 70 feet separating us. And you are going to have a C landscape buffer. It's a 10-foot landscape buffer.
Are you saying that C will be 10 feet wide?
The C landscape buffer will be 10 feet wide, but
It's a little confusing on the drawing. Because, next time you numbers,
it'll be 10 feet wide.
separate the two.
sorry. Yeah.
Gotcha, okay. So it'll be 10 feet wide where you have the green on this.
Plus the hatch.
What's that?
Plus the hatched area.
Yeah. So it's very confusing, this stuff is. I'm sorry. So our CS-owned property, we've got a 20-foot rear setback for the building. So that 20-foot setback is in addition to the dog leg. And at minimum, you've got a combined spacing of at least 70 feet, separating those residential properties from where our building could potentially go. The idea right now is that we put parking back there as well, so there's even more spacing. And yes, there would be some parking lot lighting, some security lighting. I don't think our dark skies ordinance has gotten close to adoption. I don't think yet. So we don't really have a ton of lighting standards. You are going to have...
I believe it has been adopted.
Oh, has
it's
it?
in effect, yeah, the dark skies.
Then there's the answer.
Right.
I mean, we've got to shield our lighting elements, and you, as a neighboring property owner, should not see the lighting element. And that is significant compared to what could have happened 6 months ago. On top of that, again, I can't stress enough, the tree planting on this combined development is going to be a lot. And that 10-foot buffer, it packs a lot of foliage. Yes, I get it. There are 3 months out of the year
Are you
where...
talking about the C buffer?
The C buffer, the 10-foot.
C buffer, the one that runs right here.
That one, no. That's not
that's
the
what
C
you have
buffer.
labeled C, that's what
That's
I'm-
just
Well,
the C,
that's-
labeled C.
Sorry.
That's what I was talking about. It's confusing.
It's labeled C on that exhibit. I'm sorry. I should have done 1, 2, 3.
So
Apologies.
The A is the C buffer, the B is the C buffer, the C is just distributing
Yeah.
landscaping through.
okay.
So that's why it's confusing.
They are all C buffers.
They're all C buffers.
They're all C buffers. And the wider the C buffer is, the fewer trees you have to plant. We're going to use the condensed one, the 10-foot one. So in exchange for the reduced width, you have to pack a lot of plantings into that space. So the net effect is you have a pretty consistent canopy down there. And that's 3 canopy trees per 100 linear feet. Well, we got 200 linear feet back there. And that's our offering. Where we had just 80 feet per code, now we're dropping it to the south and extending it 200 feet. So now we've got 6 canopy trees, 4 understory trees, and 20 shrubs and a fence along that entire boundary.
You're talking about the southern boundary.
The southern C buffer.
And did you finish with your question? Okay. So I hear what you're saying about you're protecting yourself against yourself, but that's really only true for now because you have the same property owner. These are going to be sold, and you're going to have these residential units, or somebody will own them, and they will abut commercial property. I guess, if people buy them and they see that there is no landscape buffer there and they know what they're buying into, I'm probably less concerned. But if somebody comes and buys one of these and the commercial isn't built, and then
Sure.
I just think what I'm looking for is what can we know that, can you put, and I'm going to use your chart.
Sure.
And so what this green area C here, what do I understand where you can assure us in terms of some kind of buffer along that area? And I think what you're saying is you'll do the best you can, but you can't really ensure at this point anything. Is that fair to say?
I think I wanted to leave that part flexible, only because he's got an interest in selling these, and if somebody's going to buy House 3 and House 6,
Right.
they're going to want something in between them. I don't think...
And will that be part of their limited common elements, 3 and 6? Will those people that buy 3 and 6, will they have the ability to go in and landscape that themselves if they want to?
That will be their property.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it'll be part
Yes.
of their limited.
There will
common
be an easement over that driveway, so it's common maintenance. And I think it's important to know, and I don't know this, but I suspect Metro Stormwater is going to look at this entire concept and say, you're not doing this as infill. You're doing this entire project as a grading permit, so that there is common maintenance throughout the site.
So it'd be that would end up being part of the general common element?
Yes,
Okay.
I believe so. The way these HPRs are crafted, though, you typically have...
A site plan that
You have a site plan, but you typically, if it's not drawn in, it's implied. The attorneys might correct me if I'm wrong, but it's implied you have the rights on your portion of the property to landscape as you see fit. Now, if it...
Right, but you don't on the general common elements typically unless everybody votes for it.
Correct.
Right. So that's why I was asking about the general common elements and limited common elements.
And I understand your pause with the lack of definition there. I think a solution to that is providing an A buffer, which allows you down to 5 feet. Okay, bear with me, this might get a little confusing. So we'd stick with our conditions, and the owner might kick me when we leave, but we'll stay with our conditions as we have initially presented to you all, taking that C buffer on the western side, distributing it throughout the residential district, and then in addition to that, establishing an A buffer between houses 6 and 3 and that driveway.
Right, but when you say distributing the buffer, once you move the buffer somewhere else, it's not really a buffer.
Did I say distribute? Establish a buffer.
Okay, establish.
Establish a new buffer.
And let me say, I like the density you have here. I think it's good that you only have one driveway. I think that's a positive in a lot of ways. And you're right, the fire department will have to approve it and Metro Water, so that'll all be safe. But I mean, again, my concern is particularly 3 and 6, and particularly if those folks buy 3 and 6, and then 3 months later they see a 4,000-foot commercial establishment going up, and they're going to have a parking lot. By 6, there'll be a parking lot. So is there any way for you to give us any kind of commitment now on any kind of minimum landscape buffer that can be put in there? Or is
It sounds like he's
I think so.
proposing that the A buffer. I mean, the A buffer would be to the west side of the drive.
You can give us an A buffer, which is 10 feet wide?
5. The A buffer gives you a 5-foot option.
Okay, so you're saying you can do that between...
On the west side of the drive.
On the west side.
And when you guys say A, you're talking about this, right?
No. No. Sorry.
I mean,
Yeah,
honestly.
So let me just hold it up. This side,
Essentially-
are you saying you can give us 5 feet on this side here?
Yeah.
A 5-foot wide
Okay.
A landscape buffer. So there's a definition in the code that tells you how many trees, shrubs,
Right.
and we would use the one that included the screening fence.
Okay, so you're saying you can commit, you
Yes.
can give us, you're telling us you can give us 5 feet here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where it's shown C on here is an A buffer you're proposing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's in addition to the plantings that we would have
Right.
done
Yeah,
with
an
the C
additional A buffer. Okay.
Gotcha.
It's a dazzle and baffle routine that I'm sitting here listening to today.
Mr. Lawless, I'm sprinkling glitter. I'm trying to sprinkle glitter.
There was an image of the different sea landscape buffers. Could we look
Yes.
at that?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there's also in the zoning code A landscape buffers. So the A landscape buffer, what would that be closest to on this screen?
Well, the A gives you the options just like this, dependent on width. At the bottom of the A category, there is it may be an A4 or an A5. It's a 5-foot wide section. It comes with the requirement for a screening fence, so you only get to use it if you put up a screening fence. And then it has a schedule of required plantings, canopy, understory, and shrubs. That would
It
have
might be
to.
most similar to the C5 that we see on the screen, but it's 5 feet wide.
I don't want to say it's similar to the tree planting schedule, but it's fairly similar enough.
Trees, fence.
Yes.
Other shrubs.
Yes.
So the A does require a fence in addition
Well,
to.
if you're going to use the 5-foot one, which it only has room for there, then
Yeah.
it would require.
It would require, okay.
Yes. And I also want to note that driveway on your exhibit, it does cross over the property line, so I want to make sure I don't say that 5-foot buffer is going to be right on the property line, so it gives us
Yeah.
a little bit
I'd
of
say the
room.
west side of the drive is
Yes.
very reasonable, and obviously not where the drive is.
It's amazing how something that seems so simple in your head
Right.
can get very complicated
I'm
fast.
picking up what you're putting down, Mr.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for the exhibits that those were certainly helpful.
Sorry. Thank you.
I know I wasn't being facetious, they really are helpful. I just, okay. All right, discussion. I was trying to pull out clumsily, thanks for your help, Mr. Newton. I was just trying to figure out where we get any kind of guarantee with respect to these properties because, so.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it at face value, when I first looked at this, I thought this was a very reasonable ask. I mean, it's, I was kind of surprised there was going to be opposition to it. I appreciate the opposition came and spoke, and I heard, fire emergency, I think that's pretty well covered through the fire marshal. Frankly, I don't see an issue with this fire-wise in a professional sense. I wouldn't have any issue with that. I wouldn't have any issue with living there either, I don't think, as far as, fire safety goes. Talking about squeezing the houses, I think it's a pretty, moderate, it's not a super dense configuration. I think it's very reasonable there. In traffic, again, I think, as Mr. Pepper mentioned, I think as far as getting the one driveway, that's very advantageous because you'll have only cars pulling in and out of one place, and you end up with less traffic because of that. That's usually a good thing. People don't have to, it's a good thing for traffic typically. Sound and light pollution, as he mentioned, the dark skies ordinance, that really takes care of a lot of light pollution because it can't, it's full cutoff lenses, so they can't be shining lights out. It has to be straight down kind of. That's a recent ordinance and that's a pretty strict ordinance, frankly. So if it was my neighborhood, I would feel comfortable with that. Water runoff, as was mentioned, I think stormwater takes care of that pretty doggone well, and they're very very strict with that kind of stuff, especially if they're going to require the whole site to have a grading permit. If that's the case, then I would have no concerns about that. I don't know if that's something we can require as a condition. I don't think it is. So I think we probably let them deal with that, but I have no doubt that they will deal with that. And I think that the additional A buffer on the west side, as you mentioned, I think that seems like a reasonable kind of compromise to deal with the issue of these kind of being developed at separate times. So I thought it was all very reasonable ask.
And it is a special exception, too.
And it is a special exception, so it's not a variance. So if they fulfill the requirements, then we shall approve it based on the code. So.
Davis, your light is on. Are you?
No, I just, I actually really appreciate the opposition coming out. And honestly, when I looked at this, I count 13 units and commercial on the bottom. And that's a lot on one driveway, just as somebody who lives in an area where that sometimes happens. But I think that for the reasons given and because of how Robertson is outlined, I think that my initial skepticism was satisfied. And I thank you, Mr. Ross, because your questions, even though I know that this isn't right, but like your questions about A, B, and C, like those were my concerns, and I think you adequately, like you did a great job asking those questions. And so as long as there's a condition that sort of makes this buffer look like this buffer, I'm on board, because I do think, yes, we have the rules for special exceptions, but we also have to make sure they don't injure neighboring properties. And the point of buffers is to have a transition between commercial and residential. And so I think if that condition's on there, thank you, Mr. Ross, for leading that discussion, I can support it.
Mr. Lawless, your light is on, or your...
Well, I mean, the only thing that I'm concerned with, probably more than I probably should be, and I want to compliment the developer on trees, thank you, sir, is this coordination and requirement to coordinate with the community. And that worries me, but we can't force a community association, so to speak, that has veto. And I don't know how you're going to pull it off, Dwayne. I really don't, because all it takes is one person screaming, shouting, and yelling, and you know, I think it's outside the purview of what we can or can't do on this one. And you did an awesome job of working through the 1, 2, and 3 here, so you explained and got over mine. So the only thing I had left actually was the coordination in the community, how to make it mandatory without it.
Well,
making it overly restrictive.
I would assume that if there is a veto, then they revert back to just the C landscape buffer. I mean, that's what the reversion is at that point. If they can't come to a compromise, and you revert back to what the code says is a C landscape buffer.
Well, but I don't think we have the authority to pass it with the right for the, I mean, the reason it's here is we're the arbiter of, you know, there are people that want, the developer wants a special exception, and some in the community do not support so I mean, I think it has to end with us. I appreciate what you're saying. I just, frankly, I don't
know how we do it.
I don't know how we do it either.
Without creating an association that we don't have power or authority to do. So, at least textually, under the
That doesn't mean the developer can't still coordinate with the community, which we hope they would. But so you're saying that we can't.
We can't do it. And so, I mean, it's my hands are figuratively tied.
Well, if someone makes a motion that
all right,
there are some conditions that probably somebody smarter than me should delineate.
Well, that's not me, but I'll give it a shot regardless.
Feels like we're lumping it right back on Joey ultimately is what we're doing.
Since you pointed to me, a little bit of experience in crafting conditions with the Board of Zoning Appeals. My advice is you can place the courts, and Alex probably back me, they can put any reasonable condition on that, okay? And ultimately the Black Road decides what's reasonable. I would ask you from an codes enforcement standpoint, if you place any condition on any case, whether it's this one or any other, make it where my staff can enforce this. Coordinate with neighbors. It's nebulous. I don't know what that means. So I'm fine with any condition this board wants to place on any case, but put it in the text of, I've got to hand this to an inspector, do what the board says. So put it in some context that I can enforce or explain to them of what we're trying to do.
Okay. I would say, I think I was going to not have condition 2, the coordination part in the motion, because I don't see how your inspector could do that, and I would hope that the developer would do that regardless. But I think that's going to be very, as Mr. Hargis mentioned, tough to enforce or to do. So I'm going to make a motion that the special exception is approved with including conditions 1, 3, and 4 on this letter that was submitted, and along with requiring a landscape buffer on the western portion of the shared access drive, or west of the shared access drive.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes 5-0. Okay, so we're going to take about a 5-minute break right now before we call the next case.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Next case on our public hearing docket today, which is also the last case on our docket, is case 2022-111. This is a request for a large in-home daycare at 919 Potter Lane in an R10 zoning district. The planning department recommends approval. Before you here to the top, you will see the zoning map, and to the bottom portion of the screen, you'll see the specs for the property that are available on the Metro GIS maps to verify that the property has the minimum lot area, which is one of the conditions under the large daycare home special exception provision. Here is the aerial photo of the neighborhood, and I did a blown up photo, so just in case when members of the public are here today, they might be helpful to have a slightly closer view. Here's the home from the front, and then the street view there to the bottom. Copy of the site plan that's been submitted by the applicant. The text with the conditions that the board is required to find prior to approving an application for a large daycare home. To the left, I use the GIS tool to measure a property boundary, which was 100 feet from the property line, to be able to verify that there's no terminus of the street within 100 feet. That's also one of the conditions in the large daycare home special exception provision. And then here to the bottom, we've got another photo of the fence in between this property and the neighbor. Just as a reminder, I went ahead and put a screenshot of the conditions that are required to be in the board's order today pursuant to Board Rule 9. And is there anyone here in opposition to this request today? We do have opposition present, Mr. Chair. If the applicants would like to come forward, or the applicant, you may have 10 minutes to make your presentation, including any other parties that you would like to speak today in favor of your request. You may reserve some of that time for a rebuttal period after we hear from the opposition. If you would please push the button. There you go.
Okay. Awesome. Good afternoon, Council. My name is Rachel Lavin. This is my co-director, Rachel Geiger. Together we are forming Iris Montessori School, a Montessori-based early child care program for children ages 18 months to 5 years.
Can you give us your address for the record?
919 Potter Lane.
Okay, thank you.
I have been working in education for many years, first as an assistant in a Montessori classroom at the age of 12. I studied at Trinity University and was on the master's track for education. I've taught at schools across Nashville for 2 years now, and have seen firsthand the desperate need that young families in Nashville have for local and quality child care that prepares children for kindergarten. We hope to do our part to help fill the gap in early child care by building a micro school in the heart of East Nashville and a group care home license through the Department of Human Services as a great starting point. All of our ducks are in a row apart from the use and occupancy permit. Both state and local fire have passed us, the health department has passed us, and DHS is ready to do final inspections. We have a full first class of 12 students ready for preschool and an active wait list of children ranging in age from unborn to 4 years, and that's with zero advertising. This is just word of mouth spread by our parents. We need a use and occupancy permit for 919 Potter Lane in order to move forward and open our doors to the 12 local families we have. We hosted a community meeting. We only had 2 people show up, including our councilman, Brett Withers, who has shown us a lot of support. The other woman that showed up just wanted to make sure it was a safe environment for kids, and so she was very happy leaving. We are not making any changes to the building or home. We operate from 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, so for working families in the area, we are kind of a perfect neighbor. operating so few hours. Many of our students live in the neighborhood, some of whom walk to school, so traffic is not as much of an issue. We also have designated parking on the block. So we have 2 spots in the driveway available for parents to park for drop-off and pickup. We also have a neighbor at 912 Potter Lane that has offered her driveway. She's one of our parents. And then another set of parents at 812 Potter Lane who have offered us their driveway in front of house for parking. We also have very large windows for drop-off and pickup. We offer drop-off from 8 to 8:45, so it's a 45-minute window for 12 cars. And then our pickup window is from 2:30 to 5. So giant window for pickup. We are working with DHS to provide care options for families in need through their financing programs for families in need. Our direct neighbors as well in terms of sound issues. We have an Airbnb to the left of us. And then the people behind us, so far from what we've communicated with them, they are at work while we're around. So it hasn't been an issue so far in terms of sound. There's also over 400 group care homes in Tennessee currently operating. And so there's a lot of us. I don't think we're quite a huge nuisance to the state. So hopefully we'll continue to be able to do our work. So thank you for your consideration.
Does anybody else?
We also have a parent.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Duncavich. I live at 720 Newhall Drive, so I'm about a mile away from the house on Potter Lane. Would be walking distance if we had sidewalks the entire way, but that's a separate issue. I have known Rachel Lavin for over a year. She's been my daughter's teacher for over a year. Rachel Geiger I've known for almost as long as that. I know them to be incredibly kind and loving, responsible and trustworthy people, and I know that they will make for responsible and trustworthy neighbors in this neighborhood, which is also my neighborhood. And I think I can speak to some of the desperation that parents in East Nashville in particular are feeling for not just for any kind of childcare, but for quality childcare. And I can say that I trust both of them with my child, mind, body, and soul. And I know that they will not only be an asset to the parent community, but also to the residential community on Potter Lane. And also, I can speak for, at least for my family, knowing that as one of the parents that we are trying to be very mindful about where we park and our exit and entry and drop off and pick up from school. We're trying to be very mindful of the neighbors. They're our neighbors too, and so we want this to be a win for everyone. Thank you.
Any questions?
I guess
has one.
I just want to clarify. So I heard like Montessori School versus in-home daycare. Can you kind of help distinguish those or kind of talk through that?
So Montessori is a child care system essentially developed in the early 1900s. It essentially is early child care because obviously we're not kindergarten, so we're not going to be doing a whole host of academic, but there are academic preparations that we do. One of the big things for Montessori, one of the big tenets is teaching them or help me to help myself. So we do a lot of practical life skills from getting used to daily routines and school routines to tying their shoes to putting on their shoes to getting dressed to pottying and things like that. And so it's all of those early childhood things that they need in order to succeed at big school or kindergarten.
So the age range of students that you would have here in state care would be from what?
18 months to 5 years,
Okay.
So right up to kindergarten.
Okay.
So the children will play in the backyard, is that fair to say?
Mm-hmm.
And there can be up to 12 of them back there. And tell us about what kind of fencing, and I'm asking this for purposes to figure out what the noise will be like back there. What kind of fencing, hedging do you have back there? Fencing in particular?
Yeah, so we have 6-foot privacy fences, wooden privacy fences throughout the entire backyard.
What kind of?
6-foot wooden privacy fence.
Okay, so it's a solid wooden privacy fence. Okay.
Oh, yeah. And then just the part from the driveway to the house, so that 12 feet between the fence line and the house is a chain link
Okay,
gate.
and that's why I asked. I thought I saw a
Essentially.
piece of a chain link fence.
Yeah,
That's
so
not
that-
the case in the back.
No, it's all wooden fencing in the back,
It's
and we
not
also have big
slatted,
trees.
It's wood, solid wood all the way across, okay.
Yeah, the cedar slat
Gotcha.
things.
Okay.
Yes.
I know.
I don't know the
Gotcha, yeah.
formal terms for them.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any further questions? Mr. Lawless has one.
Well, I'm looking at the picture, and almost directly across the street, it looks like there are two rather large, are they multi-unit?
I think they're single-family homes. There's just two on the one property. They're the new developments.
Is that what they're? Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So you did say that there are no more than 12 students?
No
would
more
be
than
able to be
12.
here? 12 individuals? Okay. I know, for some reason, one of the letters of opposition had mentioned 16, like there was like some exception with the state, but as far as Metro goes, they only allow 12, so you have more
Yeah,
than 12
and the
there.
fire department only allows us 12 as well, so,
Okay.
yeah, 12 max.
Any more questions? Okay, thank you. And you should have, I believe you have time left on rebuttal if you have something to say on rebuttal.
Okay, thank you.
All righty, thank you. Sir, I believe you had some opposition. If you would come up and state your name and address, and if you'll make sure that red light is on the microphone there.
All right. My name is John Bogosian. I live at 1035 Mitchell Road. I was right outside, I think, the area of the letters that were notified, so there probably was a community meeting. I wasn't personally informed. I probably would have tended to ask the questions there. I don't have opposition to the concept of these daycare homes. Just from the documents I was able to find, and just when I walk with my family, young toddler, pregnant wife, daycare is important, definitely understand that. It's just not clear to me if this is going to be an occupied residency based off the site plan that was presented, and just from walking, I've never seen someone live there. I don't know and not familiar if, it might just be the use and occupancy permit hasn't been provided yet, but looking at the site plan, it's not clear to me that someone will actually live here. If that is the case, that someone would live here and they are a resident, I'm fully supportive of it. That was just my general comment with it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Can you come back up and address that for us, please, ma'am?
So we do not currently have anyone living on the property, but we do have things that are taken care of in terms of some of the main concerns that might be associated with somebody not living on the property. We have a yard maintenance company that comes through and does yard maintenance for us bi-weekly. We could up it to weekly if need be. We are also on the property Monday through Friday from 8 to 5 p.m. And so we spend quite a good deal of time at the property. Really, we're not there on weekends. I just saw that list, and yeah. So we might need to make some adjustments in terms of that.
I appreciate your honesty there. And you probably see, we can't approve this if these conditions are not met. So would you want some time to figure that out, possibly? Defer a certain amount of meetings to figure that out in the meantime?
I think that would be the best decision for us currently.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, all right. What do you think would you need a month, 2 weeks, a month? What kind of time would you need to figure something out there?
2 weeks.
Okay, so our next meeting, we'll say, okay. Thank you.
And I think you get his point. That one of the requirements is that it be an occupied resident. So does that lead to a motion to?
We got to close the public hearing.
Oh, that's true. Any further questions before we do that? Okay, so we'll close the public hearing. And do you have a question?
I just
No, after you.
wanted to know the intent for this to be an occupied residence?
Yes.
I just want to
I
understand
wanted
the
to
law.
address that. This is the owner, this is the operator of the business. Occupied residence is not, it's my house and I'm subletting to them to operate this out of my house. As the operator, I must live here. That is, it must be your principal residence. If it's not, this use is not allowed without that. So that's, it's not ever the intention in an R6 district or an R district to allow for subletting residential use for this operation.
Is there a path forward if they do not occupy the house? Is there a different?
Rezoning.
Rezoning?
Yep.
Okay.
To a zone district that would permit childcare that does not have this condition. But this condition one is the owner-operator this is their principal residence. And that's been intent from day one since the adoption of this code.
And if they had to go through that process, it might be SP zoning, specific plan zoning, and they might speak to their councilman about that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Rezoning SP, the good part of the SP zone district, it does allow for flexible use of property that deviates from the strict standards of the zoning code. It essentially creates a zoning code for that property that the planning department enforces via the council. But no, I want to be sure, when I heard that discussion, my ears popped up that no, that number one is this, whoever the operator of this daycare home, it is their principal residence.
I'll ask a question. Can I ask them a question? I forgot where we were in this hearing. We're still in the
Yeah, we
public
can
hearing.
reopen the public hearing, so.
Okay. I wanted to ask them if they understood what was just said.
Not in terms of who we need to contact and how to rezone.
Okay, so you can contact your council person who you said was in support of this
Yeah,
project,
we've
and he
been-
can probably help you with the path forward.
Okay.
And so rezoning, you would have to go through the planning department and do that. And I'm sure there's someone at planning they might be able to talk to as well, but maybe start with the council person. Would that be the right approach?
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, we want to close the public hearing now? Okay, we'll close the public hearing, and I think Mr. Newton has a motion.
I'll make a motion to defer to our next meeting, and then it could be, pushed out further if need be by the applicant.
So our next meeting is, I believe, in about 2 weeks. So,
Second.
Okay. All right, there's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm voting with you.
Okay.
Unanimous.
All right, so it's a unanimous vote on the deferral. Okay, thank you.
That will
Okay,
conclude our meeting.
We have no further business, I believe, do we? Okay,
No, sir.
we're adjourned.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.